Michael Sprouse, and for the next hour, you are in the house of Sprouse, and we're going to take a jump to the creative side of the surf. Hey, we're broadcasting live from the beautiful, I accent that word, beautiful studios of TV Delmarva on Delaware 105.9 FM. You can follow our Facebook page. You can watch this whole wonderful live stream broadcast. Of course, you can listen on the radio, but you can also go to facebook.com/coastalae or Facebook.com/TV Delmarva, or make it easy and just go to www.tvdelmarva.com. Check it out. I got my man Michael Bell in the house of Sprouse.
Always great to be back in the house of Sprouse.
How's it going?
Great to see you, brother. Everything's beautiful.
So glad you're here. So Michael and I are very close friends. We've been friends for close to 20 years. We have a wild visual art history between us. Wild ride. A bunch of always have a good time. I think you've been a guest on my show more than any other guest.
It's been, I think it's been a couple years, 2 years ago maybe, that we first got together.
On the thing. Yeah, I've had this show for just a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
You were one of my first guests, as a matter of fact. It's like, hey, Mike, I'm doing this radio show.
I love kicking things off with you, too, and doing something big. And now we're in these new TV studios. It's beautiful.
It's phenomenal. I'm very, very, very happy about this.
First class.
Very nice. Yeah, it's a man, Colin Wells, over there, does a great job. Who I first met Colin doing the Sea Witch Parade live when I was emceeing the Sea Witch Parade over there on that other station that's out there floating.
Right. See, it's all about who you know.
That's right. Did I bring my water? So Michael's here today. We're going to talk about all types of fun things. And, of course, people can call us here and with questions or comments at 302-491-6484. I know that around half hour after 11, my friend John Molera, the incredible photographer, is going to be calling in. He's doing Help Portrait, I believe, in Milford, which is a really phenomenal event that he helps to organize. It's a nationwide event, but I'll let him talk about that. That's going to be probably about half hour, and you and I are going to be here for an hour, and then we're going to be doing a Facebook live stream for an additional hour.
Beautiful. I'm excited to be here.
You're going to be able to pull that off, man?
I'm always up for the challenge. I'm always up.
Yeah, I was like, well, we could juggle or something. Do some type of mixed media presentation. Well, one of the great things about the Facebook live stream that we're able to do through TV Delmarva is that we are able to actually incorporate some video and some imagery into our presentation so people can see it. As artists, that's very important. Mm-hmm. Very important to lead the narrative with those visuals. That's right. And I know that you have a lot because you're like the multimedia guy. In fact, it was years ago. You're one of the people that started incorporating video. I'm talking like 20-something years ago, as part of your presentation out there. And I remember the time going, wow, that's pretty, not a lot of visual artists are doing that at that time. Yeah, well, it's important to, I'm always looking to challenge the process, as you know. I'm looking to see what's new, what's next, what's better out there. And so that was, for me, just an extension of storytelling. And as artists, we've got to be the ultimate storytellers. And we got to find new ways to constantly reach our audience and touch emotional chords. Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, and you've been very good at that over the years. I remember, in fact, you one of the first times that we sort of, you and I were doing collaborative paintings. It was a process we had just discovered. So this may have been 2001, 2002. Yes, it was. It was right after September 11th. That's right. 2002. Yeah, and we were in my studio, and your lovely wife Lisa was there, and she was running the video camera. She was filming us. Yeah. Well, what was interesting about that was it was very impromptu. It was almost like back in the day of the surrealists when they'd get together and they'd play these games and they'd just try some things and they'd riff off each other. And you popped a blank canvas up onto your studio wall. We said, let's make a painting. And if you recall, I think it was Lisa that really realized maybe the importance of what that moment looked like, because she was living it with us from an outsider, seeing that spark, that passion ignite. And I remember when we first started laying out those photographs, what are we going to choose from? You chose a photo of someone that had... Jean Harlow. That's all right. It was from the 1920s. She was a superstar at her time. She died very young. And I chose someone that was living. I don't remember who at the time, but we both grabbed these two separate photos, and then we started a conversation. What's the narrative? What's the story between them? And then we created one and made up one, and then we started painting together, taking turns, and then before you know it, we're painting at the same time, which was, I think it's pretty unprecedented. There's not a lot of artists at that time out there collaborating on the same painting.
There's a lot
agree. Yeah, it was. Well, for me at the time, it was a totally new experience.
Me too.
It was new for you too.
Absolutely.
And we just never. Well, you of course have incorporated when you were working as an art educator, and now I know you're going more into the supervision of it. But you spent more than 20 years as an art educator, and you started using collaboration art, I believe, in some of those processes.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, it's all about being in the trenches. And for 23 years, I lived that dual life as an artist and as a national award-winning educator. And for me, it was always drawing that line from my life to my art that's straight and clear, based on my personal experiences, bringing those into play with the work, and then communicating and collaborating with others. And when I was teaching, it was so important to get kids to collaborate with each other. So how do you do that? You got to lead by example. And there's so much that I learned from you just watching certain things that you would do with the paint. Like, for example,
we're not talking about making a really good martini, because
no.
things
It goes without saying.
That's right.
But it was your use of, for me as a painter, it was your use of phthalo blue that blew me away. I remember the first time we had this beautiful portrait already kind of worked out, and you took this big slab of blue and you made up this soupy gloss medium and you spread it all over the work, and I'm like, what are you doing? And then you started dabbing it away. I'm like, oh wow, he's making shadows. It was interesting. So you discover something new and you pull bits and pieces, and that, of course, we influenced each other's work for I'd say the better part of a decade while we were painting.
Without a doubt. Of course, now we were focusing mostly on portraiture.
We were.
And because but they were what we called narrative portraits. So they weren't like, here I'm going to paint this happy, lovely portrait of you posing. These were storytelling portraits, really, for lack of a better term, I think.
And when I first got started, I mean, I started painting portraits for celebrities, and that was my claim to fame. Sopranos Con is going on right now. I did some promotional stuff because I did a lot of portraits for those guys early in my career. And for me, it was always not the exciting part of their personality was the fact that they were a celebrity. That wasn't interesting. I was always after what's the real story behind their soul. It's like when you meet somebody for the first time and then their face changes as you really get to know them. That's what I would always try to pour into the work. And I think that's where you and I connected on a greater level, because you were doing that same thing through your narrative portraits in a slightly different way, but you were always after capturing the soul. It wasn't the surface you were after.
It was
always about something deeper. What's the real story?
Well, I was using vintage photographs as my real, like, old photographs that I would find in flea markets and abandoned and things of total strangers that had a very interesting look that I found compelling. This will make a great portrait. So the portrait was modeled after this stranger, but there was this whole like full circle type of thing. I mean, we got really into the depth of why we were painting what we were painting.
Well, it all goes back to that. I firmly believe that it all goes back to why it is that we do what we do. For you, I'm curious, and I'm sure your listeners are probably curious. I mean, we're talking about these narrative portraits that evolved over time, but when did it first begin for you? Like, when did you know that you were going to take on this creative road? Was it early in your life? Was it in childhood? Was it high school? Was it,
do you mean painting in general?
And then maybe when you took that turn towards, this is my actual voice as an artist. This is what I'm going to be known for. This is really it. You started to develop a series of works that have ultimately, that's the sea you're swimming in. That's who you are as an artist. But it's only until you amassed a lot of work that you really actually recognize that.
Actually, now that you're making me walk down the memory road.
Let's do it. Let's
down the memory highway. I started doing that style of work that I became most known for, these narrative portraits. It was October 1999. I remember exactly when it happened, and I debuted a whole new body of work.
Why did it happen?
At the time, I'd opened the gallery in Georgetown. We had opened it, and just because it was like, hey, let's open an art gallery. We really didn't know what we were doing, and through fate, ended up in a great location in Georgetown, in Washington D.C. Georgetown, and just sort of trial by error. I was doing mostly abstract work at that time because I thought that's what sold. This is what needs to be in a gallery.
Yes.
I was still in my 20s, and I thought, okay, well, here's what appears to be hot right now in the art world, so I'll just be an abstract painter because I liked abstract work and I could do it. But I was always really drawn to these things. It was my sister-in-law, I think, at the time, who was an incredible artist, an abstract installation artist out of Nashville. Carrie McGee, incredibly talented. She, I believe, is the one who was like, well, you're always drawing and doing these faces. Why don't you try exploring something like that in a painting? And I'd never created a large painting based on one of these things that I was drawing all the time. Yeah. And I did one just to try it, and it was, wow, it knocked everybody that saw it. They're like, oh, why don't you do a whole series of these?
Different.
And that's what I did. And I debuted in October 1999, and it did really well. It got a big full-page review in the Washington Post, the raving about the show. It changed my projectile as an artist.
Well,
making that change.
And I think that's the beauty of creating something where you're actually singing in your unmistakable voice, as opposed to trying to
be something that you're not,
or trying to do a bunch of cover bands, for lack of a better way to put it. Where
it's a great analogy.
You were experimenting with abstract because you
now I'll do Hotel California.
Yeah, this is what's hip and happening. Yeah. But I think that if you figure out why it is that you're painting what you're painting, that's a major thing. Like, I created this project many years ago, as you know, with that I've toured the nation with it, and it's become this viral thing with 31 Nights.
Yeah.
Which is a challenge based on prompts, and the prompts kind of sell the sizzle. Each prompt is unique to itself. There's prompts like Lost You. There's prompts like Facing the Beast, Find Me, Find Another Day, Warrior's Journey. I mean, these are titles as prompts that can you really sink your teeth into. And it was inspired by a photographer as well, David J. Leeson, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer. He did these amazing self-portraits. He was a photojournalist, and he would go out and shoot all these amazing wartime photos that he won a Pulitzer Prize for. Mm-hmm. But it was the self-portraits that he was doing in his private world, on his own, in his basement, in his little studio, that's what caught my attention the most, because he was drawing a line from his life, but creating an emotional release as well. I think that's so important. Finding a way to displace all that life throws your way and do something creative with it, as opposed to something destructive with it, which is what I always try to help kids with, which is what I'm trying to help our teachers to raise their game, so that they incorporate that social emotional piece into the work that they do with kids.
I will say from my own experience that when I made that leap of faith as an artist at that time to a whole completely new body of work, that it just changed my whole process. I mean, it changed the way that I thought about work, that I thought about art, that I thought the way I looked at work. All of that opened up because I made that change. I stopped doing what I thought needed to be done, and I started doing what I thought my passion was at that time. And it changed everything.
Sure, and that's where I think a lot of artists out there that are getting started, where they're looking for. I think that it is important that you do look at what's going on in the art world and be up on current trends and all that stuff. But ultimately, you can still riff off of it and find something original to do within the confines of weaving your way through the gallery scene, if that's the route you go anymore.
Because frankly, sometimes when I look at what's going on in some of the major galleries around the country, I become like this old cynical guy. Because a lot, I don't want to sound like I'm some rube hiding behind a rock somewhere, but I'm telling you, some of this stuff, it's like, what? It's Emperor's New Clothes to me. Some of it, not all of it, but some of these things, and but that's a whole different. You have to, if someone wants to go into that world, that's a world they choose to go into.
Sure. You want to. I've always been after striking an emotional chord, and as I was telling you outside, I went to I participated in Challenge Day at a middle school, which was a full day affair, and it was all about bringing out emotions in these kids and playing games like If You Really Knew Me, You Would Know, and going deeper than what's on the surface. And it was so inspiring. I mean, it was just so amazing just seeing these kids finally come together as one and saying, oh yeah, I recognize something in you now that I never knew before. And that's where I think our art connects us, because it speaks a language that's completely visual. Nobody needs to be in the room and communicate it. I saw a show. It was interesting that we met shortly after 9/11. I was at an exhibit in Washington, D.C. not too long ago that they put on a post 9/11 type of exhibition. There was this photographer's work. It was amazing. I don't know how she got this footage, number one, because it was emotional just being in the room. But she took all these photographs of soldiers, young soldiers, bedrooms in their parents' homes that never came back from the Iraq War.
Wow.
And they all had this eerie similarity to them. They were either all perfectly made up, as if they never left, or the rooms were exactly left the way that the parent's child left when they went off, like a shrine. And you had talked about this even with your own mother and some of the influences that had in your artwork and what you had experiencing loss as a child too. So I mean, it was powerful though. It just struck an emotional chord with me. And here they are. They're just photographs of bedrooms at the end of the day. But with the context built in, oh, it was so powerful.
It's all about context, man.
It is. It's about the narrative. It's about the storytelling. It's about the narrative.
But see, so sometimes I'll see these exhibits that seem completely void of any type of narrative. If you have to stretch your mind to say, what is happening here?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I always used to say this to kids, and this would apply to any aspiring artist out there, that if you need to write out this inflated artist statement about this work's really about, if I can't get it from looking at it, you're dead in the water already.
Yeah.
If I got to go to
statement.
if I got to go to that paper, then I've lost it anyway. And we're supposed to be able to get something new and experience something new out of all the works that we see. Now, you and I, we also worked in series, narrative series.
Correct.
Sometimes I would work where a work, it would change the story based on where you put it in the narrative, where each piece is almost like a vignette, almost like storyboards for a movie. And when you shift and change those visual paintings around these scenes, it creates an entirely different narrative, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's all. As before we went on the air, of course, we always have these sort of like discussions about our work and where it is going. And I've been honest. I've been honest with a lot of people. I personally, right now, I'm stepping back from painting. I've been painted in about 2 years, which is a long
painting
time.
With your voice now.
I'm still being very creative. But I have people come up, oh, are you still painting? I'm like, no, not right. And it's an awkward moment. They're always like, oh, but you should be. Why haven't you given up? And it's not that. It's not that. It's not that thing. But you go through processes.
You do, and I look at it as people say the same thing with me. Now that I took over as a supervisor over visual and performing arts and world languages and media in Queen Anne's County, and it's a big role with a lot of different responsibilities and a lot of different disparate areas that I'm trying to find commonalities between. And they ask me, "Are you still painting? Do you still?" And the interesting thing for me, it's the same thing. We're both still painting. We're just painting with a broader brush, and it's a different brush.
Correct. We're still being creative, very creative,
and hopefully inspiring. Like today, just discussing some exciting things about art to inspire somebody else to pick up that brush again and sit behind the canvas. And there's something magical that happens where you're. As opposed to photography, nothing against it. It's photography is something that where you're capturing, you're stealing out of the world. I look at a painting as an accumulation of an experience. It's something you're putting back into.
Interesting. That's an interesting, controversial statement. Well, because John Malera is calling in, my photographer friend's calling in. He's like taking out. But no, I understand what you're talking.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Well, you're capturing.
You're capturing.
Maybe.
You're capturing,
as opposed to.
And if it's a portrait, I'm sure for a photographer, it's all about those micro expressions that you're capturing and that you're looking for.
Yeah, of course.
Waiting for that moment, just like you're waiting for the golden hour outside. As if you're an outdoor landscape painter, you're waiting for that moment to capture.
But you just said earlier that you were moved by a series of photos of bedrooms.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of the context put into it.
Yeah, I'm moved by all kinds of artwork. And I gave an analogy the other day. I stopped into a high school art studio the other day, and there was a young lady working on a series for her advanced placement portfolio, and it was interesting what she was doing with the backgrounds, and it was basically kind of mapping, and she was talking about creating something surrounding a narrative. And so I just kept pushing her in terms of, well, what is the real reason why you're choosing this medium? Why are you doing this? And she's like, well, I wanted to look at something through different perspectives. Through what would somebody approach? Like, say there was a missing child. What would that look like from the male gaze as opposed to the female gaze? And it was very interesting. And so I said, well, maybe you should need to explore it through 7 works over here, through the female gaze, and 7 works, getting some input from some other people from the male gaze. It's just so interesting, though. But I get inspired in photography too. It's context. It is. I get inspired by stories. I think we all do. Yeah. It's the emotional connection. That's the powerful thing.
Do we even have time for me to drop a big controversial question about art? We got 2-3 minutes.
Sure.
Well, because we're going to come back. I think, like I said, I have John Mallory calling in. Then we're going to talk, and we have a whole other time off the radio. But I do wonder about painting, traditional painting, and its placement.
Is painting dead?
Yes, that was going to be my question. Is it dead? I even hate the sound of that question, but I'm not quite sure where I have my head around any of that.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, I don't believe painting's dead. I think the artists out there, like friends like Eric Fischel, that are still doing their thing and still making statements through the paintings that they're creating. I definitely don't think it's dead, but definitely the gallery scene has dwindled, and the gallery artist has turned into a different animal, especially with the rise of, as you know, with Instagram and TikTok and all these other things, that there's so many other ways that people are getting creative, and they're putting their work out there, but they're also not spending as much time in the galleries anymore in front of a painting and really trying to feel what that experience is like. I think it's for us, like right now, for me as a supervisor over the visual and performing arts, I think it's so important for me to keep painting alive and to keep music alive, keep dance alive, keep all these creative outlets alive, because I see that's where kids are hurting the most. They're not getting enough of these outlets. And they also might not even understand the experiences and the conversations that revolve around them. Like the other day, and I know we're getting short on time.
Yep. But see that big clock over there, the green number?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. 1 minute.
That's all right.
We got, I went into a middle school the other day, and I presented this suitcase that I carry with me filled with these amazing visual journals to a class who were never been inspired before to create a visual journal of their own. But it's there in a personal place where you could even create your own visual diary where stories are born. Then it transcends out into the canvas, and it gives you a place to not only deposit your thoughts and your ideas, but to also plot and plan and scheme and think in a different context, in a way that's not social.
Right on.
Does that make sense?
It does make sense, man. We're gonna, when we come back.
So painting's not dead.
No, it's not dead. We're going to come back. We're going to have this and much more fascinating art talk here.
House of Sprouse.
The House of Sprouse. Got Michael Bell in the House of Sprouse. I'm here with Michael Sprouse. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Plenty more to come.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it.
Jim Weller here, and let's talk trailers. Dump trailers, hydraulic dump trailers, big ones, little ones, different color ones. Man, I got them. We take trades, we offer financing. We'd like the opportunity to sell you a dump trailer if you need one. We sell BYs and Brymar, the best trailers in the industry, and we've got the selection right here on Route 13 in Bridgeville. Phone number 337-8228, Wellers.com on the web. Like us on Facebook, ask your friends about us, tell your friends about us, and let's make a deal on a trailer today.
Here's a great way to save money on your credit card bills. If you have 3 or more credit cards and you're way behind on the payments, we can show you a way to pay as little as 50% and have zero debt in 24 months. Call now and learn how to reduce your credit card bills by 50% and be 100% debt-free. We always offer 24/7 help and a free consultation. Call right now.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-983-6761. 888-983-6761. 888-983-6761. 888-983-6761.
Listen to Delaware 105.9 live anytime.
This is what everybody is talking about.
Live streaming 24 hours a day at Delaware1059.com.
That's what I'm talking about. Actually, we're streaming live on the internet.
Listen to Delaware 105.9 live anytime.
This is what everybody is talking about.
Live streaming 24 hours a day at Delaware1059.com.
This is where local talk radio lives. Online at Delaware1059.com and on air at Delaware1059.
At Shell Brothers, we love the holidays more than any other time of year, and there's so much to celebrate this season. We have newly opened models in Peninsula Lakes and Governors, and each of our models is decorated for the holidays. Help local kids this season and donate a bike at one of our sales centers or at our main office. And even better, the first 25 new home buyers to execute a contract between now and December 18th who donate a bike will receive a free fireplace in your new Shell Brothers home. Some restrictions apply. For more information, visit us at shellbrothers.com.
Attention Black Friday shoppers, Waves Car Wash in Lewis is having a gift card blowout. Spend $100, get $100 free. That's right, spend $100, get $100 for free. Cash only, November 29th, Black Friday, 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. or until we run out. Get there early, Waves Car Wash.
Let Del One help you ride into the holiday season with a Del One Black Friday auto loan with no teaser rates. These low rates are valid for credit scores of 640 and above. This amazing auto loan promotion is for the month of November for 2014 and newer personal cars and trucks. Check out the low rates and get more information by stopping into any branch location. Visit del-one.org or call Del One FCU at 302-739-4496 for more info. Conditions and restrictions apply. Rates and terms are subject to change. Equal opportunity lender.
Pat's Pizza Family Restaurant on Route 1 Lewis invites you to join them for lunch and dinner. Pat's Pizza's menu is full of an assortment of foods to satisfy your family's hunger. From delicious fresh pizzas, strombolis, and salads, hot and cold sandwiches to complete dinners. With over 40 years of excellence, Pat's Pizza is sure they'll have what you want, and that's what will keep you coming back again and again. Pat's Pizza makes it easy as 1, 2, 3. Save time and order online at patspizzeria.com. Pat's Pizza will even deliver your order to your home or business. Join the Rewards Club and start earning rewards today. Download the free app available at the App Store or get it on Google Play. Pat's Pizza on Route 1 Lewis. Dine in, takeout, delivery, and catering available. Visit online at patspizzeria.com and check out their menu and party trays. You won't be disappointed. Remember, join the Rewards Club today online at patspizzeria.com. Your rewards are now just a touch away. Pat's Pizza Family Restaurant. Not a franchise, just a family.
To buy your home, you became a house hunting ace, learned about loans, scoured neighborhoods, and asked the right questions. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The following program is a paid commercial presentation.
There you go. It's different than what I was going. At the last minute, I heard this coming in. I got my little disco fix.
Yeah, you got that side to you too.
I do.
Of course.
It's Casey. It's Casey and the Sunshine Man.
It's the sunshine.
Give it up. Give it up for Casey and the Sunshine. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Coastal A&E. I'm here's Michael Sprouse. Got my dear friend, award-winning visual. You just have so many titles and awards I don't even know what to say anymore.
I just tell everyone I'm your dear friend.
That's it. My dear friend, Michael Bell, here in the house of Sprouse. I think we have another friend of mine, a very talented photographer, John Moller, I believe, is on the line. Good morning. You're on Coastal A&E.
That is correct. You have John Moller on.
John, there you are. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I am good. We're here at Help Portrait Southern Delaware, our annual photography event. It is hopping.
That is phenomenal. So for people that may not be familiar, I did have last year. I believe I had you on right before Help Portrait. It's just a beautiful organization. It's an event that you put together every year, I believe, right before Thanksgiving. But give a little shout out to what it is exactly that you're doing.
Sure. So one day a year, professional photographers and hair and makeup artists all get together and donate our time and just love on our community. What we do is we do free portraits for families and individuals that, shelling out the money for professional portraits might not be at the top of their list. So it's just a way to give back, and we take photos of them. And the really cool thing is we print the photos out on site and frame them for them. So when they leave, they walk out the door with a framed family portrait, and also a USB drive so they can have all their photos and put them on social media and print more of them themselves. So it's just a great event. It's got a great vibe to it.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I remember last year you shared a lot of personal story of how touching these photographs were actually for people that people often, as you were just mentioning, Michael, we take a lot of this for granted because we're just surrounded with our phones and everything,
what's the first thing that somebody grabs when their house is burning to the ground? They grab their photographs, they grab their memories, and so he's given them a memory to take with them. That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful thing.
And there's so much power with having something to hold. That's what's really neat about the event is having a printed photograph.
Yeah.
Where you can look at it, because, we all have bad days. And, man, if you can look at something, sitting up on the mantle kind of reminds you that there are good days out there, too.
Yeah, right on. It's just such a beautiful thing, especially right as the holidays are kicking in. I think everything about it is it's just very heartwarming. It's a touching thing. And now, where are you? Can people come in, or is it something that has to be done in advance? Right now, you're just dealing with the people that had signed up.
Yeah, so we're in Milford. Milford School District, lets us use one of their facilities, and we do ask that people sign up, and we usually start opening that up about a month before the event.
Yeah.
This is actually the first year we've opened it up to the general public. Before it was strictly scheduled through People's Place, but I can just share some quick numbers with you.
Please do.
So volunteers have been here, started rolling in around 7 a.m. getting set up, and the first photos were taken not more than an hour and a half ago, and since 10 a.m., we've already served 68 people.
That's brilliant.
We have 5 photo stations and an army of volunteers. We have over 25 volunteers here, just making it happen. So it's already served 68 people.
So these people are able to get a very special portrait, and I know also that the portraits that you're taking, you really focus on capturing an essence that are in. They're very narrative, which is something Michael and I have been talking about all morning long. These aren't just your regular here's a little headshot. You're capturing some essences of these people that are important to them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that starts with the way we treat them. Right as soon as they walk in the door, we have greeters meet them with a smiling face, and while they're waiting, the Starbucks in Milford donated coffee. Our local bakery Dolce donated a huge tray of delicious cookies, and Anchor Church donated delicious fried treats. Potato
delicious
chips.
Fried treats,
and so right away everyone's already happy.
3 of my favorite words.
And then every group gets 15 minutes with a professional photographer.
That is phenomenal.
And, a lot of the best pictures that come out are the candid ones.
That's great that
not the old school hole in the mill ones. So
that's
great.
It's
just a great thing, and the volunteers get just as much out of it emotionally as the the folks that are participating.
Excellent. So, John, as a photographer yourself professionally, where can people go online to see examples of your work? Because you're an incredibly talented photographer. I want people to be more aware of that.
Oh, thank you very much. Sure, my website is melloraphoto.com, and spelled MOLLURAPHOTO.com, and that'll take you right there. You can Google it. So I got a lot of fun stuff there. Do a lot of creative portrait work. Do a lot of musicians. A lot of folks when they come into town for the bottle and cork. Partner up with them. So you get into some very fun, cool stuff.
Excellent. Well, John, thank you so much, man. I want to thank you for calling in. I really appreciate it. I know you got a lot going on there. I think it's a great event that you do every year. So congratulations to you and all the other volunteers.
All right. Thank you very much for all you do too, Michael. Have a good one, brother.
Yeah, you too. Thank you, John. There.
All right. Happy.
That's a really nice thing.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. When I first found out about it last year, maybe it was I think it was last year, I was blown away. And some of these stories, he actually was on the radio. I'll have him on again. And what I really wanted was to get him in here today to take some really cool, fun photos of us. And I forgot that he had this great event. I'm like, oh, perfect. We'll just call in. We'll talk about it on the air because it's really.
Well, I'm sure we'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Not our first rodeo.
No, it is not. We have to especially bring the delicious fried tree. That's going to stick in my head the rest of the morning. It's not my Weight Watchers friendly thing, but I'm going to take a little break, I think. It's because you're in town.
Yeah, well, tell you, it's interesting with what he was doing with that. Mm-hmm. Reminds me, we did something partnered with a local organization called Haven Ministries in Queen Anne's County, where they did an interesting project that we spread to the National Art Honor Societies at the local high school there. And it was creating art for homeless that are transitioning into homes for the very first time.
Wow.
Because they didn't want them to enter a place that, is devoid of art. Because art has that human connection, that human personal component. And when they started this project, they were collecting donated artwork. And often, as you know, when you're collecting donated stuff, it's stuff that people don't want. Mm-hmm. So for the high school kids to create a work of art, to put something like we talked about into the world, as opposed to giving them some discarded thing they don't want, they were actually creating something personal for these people that they had never met. And it's creating that empathy. It's creating that connection that you're important. I acknowledge that your life is important, and I've given you something with my energy, and that energy lives with us. I mean, it's when somebody buys a portrait. I mean, that's the energy. Mm-hmm. And I love that John's having his, people spend 15 minutes with each family as opposed to just snapping a shot.
Yeah.
Because he's getting to know them and he's actually looking for some candid moments where their true personality, when they drop the social mask and their true personality is revealed, and then they have a personal memory to carry on with them.
I agree. Yeah, it's so wonderfully important. 302-491-6484.
That's his personal cell phone.
That's right. Try to call it now. That is TV Delmarva. And you can call a question or comment. Get you on the air. I'm always happy to hear from folks out there. My personal cell phone. One of the God, we could spend. We have spent so much time in our many-yeared history talking about the art and the importance of art, and not just, of course, painting. One of the joys of having this show and my TV shows is I get to focus on every different aspect of the art, and I think that was one of the things when I did say I'm going to step away from painting right now was also to help me explore these other realms in a way that I had not been able to in the past, and to give people an option, the opportunity to get themselves out there too.
You're taking an approach. It's like my deputy superintendent says all the time, and taking a 60,000-foot view as opposed to this.
Yeah, I like that.
And now we're impacting people on a much larger scale, which is also a beautiful thing in itself. And I think it gets back to not only the empathy piece and that we, not only do kids need that, but just all of us in general, we're losing that human connection. We need that. And the arts, that's a way to really bridge that gap to make something personal. I also think it's all about getting out of our comfort zones. Here's your comfort zone. Here's where the magic happens, all the way over here. I think we need more of this in our lives, right? We need to take that step outside of that box that we live in and try something new. I think that's why we were so successful with the collaboration art for a while, because it was something outside of our own comfort zones.
Sure.
And you're learning from somebody else.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and if you're a visual artist, if you're a painter, you're going to learn very quickly when there's somebody right next to you literally working on the same piece, and you just sort of, but you develop this flow. It was an amazing thing. It was like being on, have you ever, I know that you've worked with the theater program as part of what you do now.
Sure.
So, and recently you were posting some great video of some dance routines that some of these kids are at. And there's a flow, there's a rhythm to that. And when you and I were doing this collaborative art, there was a rhythm to the way that we approached and moved towards the canvas and away from it and everything. It was really fascinating.
Well, it's interesting that you bring this up too. And the fact that you recognize that I was doing things with video early in my art career. Well, I'm still doing stuff with video.
You are, yes.
One of the very first purchases through a grant that I did when I took over as supervisor was buying myself a digital camera to shoot video footage, because I wanted to go out there and do for the teachers and for the kids what nobody ever did for me. I had to learn it all on my own.
Sure, yeah.
I had to be my own best PR agent. So now I'm their best PR agent. I've created a Arts Teen of the Week column in the local newspaper. So every week I'm looking for stories from the teachers. So the cool thing about that is it's not just getting stories from teachers. It's the fact that I'm trying to inspire them to actively be looking for them, actively be looking for magic moments.
Sure, yeah.
and kids' stories and what their stories really are beyond the surface of what you're teaching in the class. And so these stories have been rolling. I'd say there's probably been about 20 articles out there so far. I always send out an article. We have two high schools in Queen Anne's County. One's at Kent Island and one's in Queen Anne's County High. And so I always send out dual articles at the same time so that both ends of the district get highlighted at the same time.
Good call, man.
Which is cool. And like you were saying about the dancers, I took a bus trip with them. With both high schools, went up to Salisbury University. Ames, the Arts Alliance, they sponsored the whole bus trip, and they've been fantastic. Quanice Floyd, who just took that over, I mean, she's been a champion of ours. And spent the day at Salisbury University with the Salisbury University Dance Company. They worked with the kids. They took a jazz master class, and they actually got to sit on stage and talk to the leaders throughout the state on why dance is important. So, I mean, it's unbelievable, the outreach, but you need to spread it. You need to get outside of your comfort zone. I can't say how many other people that went to this thing that were sitting in the audience, they weren't shooting video footage. I was, because I wanted to capture it.
Sure, yeah. Which is a good thing you did capture, because I think that type of documentation, particularly in the world that we live in now, is valid and important. And we've had this discussion before. I know there's two different ways to look at the idea that everybody that has a cell phone has a camera, and we're all photographers and we're all out there. But I think that just helps to open their creativity up in a way that's never happened before.
I do, and whenever I step foot into a class and I'm doing program monitoring, looking what's going on, I'm always trying to shoot some footage and capture some really amazing moments for these teachers that they wouldn't be able to capture otherwise, because you can see them, but if you don't capture it, it's as if it never happened. If the public doesn't know about it, if the public doesn't know about all the great things that are happening in the arts and in the world languages and all these areas and in media, then I have to toot their horn for them.
Right on. No, it's a good thing. The other thing too, it's interesting is this technology that we're using, that you're using, it didn't exist 25 years ago.
No.
So it was a whole different. So a lot of people don't realize, excuse me, in the world without technology and digital, the ability to capture an image digitally. If you're of a certain age, that was not part of anything that you were educated in.
So how did you approach it? How did you approach it? Being when you first got started, how did you get the gallery out there? How did you begin being your own best PR agent?
Well, a lot of it was just literally me going out to events, handing out postcards. Literally like, hey, you over there, come to an art opening. There's an art opening tonight over here. Free wine in order. I mean, we really were just sort of like going out, because at that time in 1993 when we opened the gallery, our PR options were limited. No one had a website. It was very early in the days of the internet. Most of the galleries didn't have a website. There was a magazine that was published in Washington, D.C., that covered all the galleries. I can't remember who published that magazine. It was a nice publication, and all the galleries would take turns having the cover of the publication. So it was old school. It was a print thing that was for free, and it was always the honor to be on the cover. Ooh, this is exciting. I remember the first time I had one of my paintings on the cover, and it's like, wow, this is some legitimate stuff now, right?
Press, yeah.
And that's how people knew, because they would say, okay, it's the third Friday of the month. That means all the Georgetown galleries are having a joint opening. So people would come down. There was a lovely band. There was hors d'oeuvres. It was and you would get to meet and mingle with people. And there were little salons that people would have a bar, and it was all word of mouth. Then after, I would say 95, 96 is when the gallery started creating websites. And I hired a friend of mine. I knew nothing about it at the time, I was intimidated to be on the committee, which is crazy. Paid this guy a decent amount of money to make a very simple website. And I remember at the time going, wow, this is amazing. It was really just our logo and a couple of photos. I mean, this is early web. And I said, but I think I can probably do a better job if I taught myself how to do this. And lo and behold, I did.
I taught myself how to code too.
Exactly.
Because
that's what we did.
You have to learn old school sometimes.
You have to teach yourself the tools.
You do. And it's also the personal connections that you're making. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, we're in the relationship and big idea business.
Correct.
I mean, that's really what we are. And I'm trying to cultivate that out there, where we're creating, not only are we creating artists in many different facets, but we're creating artists and entrepreneurs. They need to know how to market themselves and how to communicate their message. It's got to go beyond just, here, I created a great work of art. Well, guess what? So is somebody else. I created this great piece of music. Okay, great. How many pieces of music are out there? How many things have been riffed on? How many things sound very similar? How do you find your own unique voice and navigate that system? I mean, that's where you do have to take that leap of faith and start getting out there outside of your comfort zone.
It still sort of blows my mind, because I meet people that are involved in the arts every day that still are disconnected to their own promotion. Maybe they don't have a website, or they may have a Twitter or something, or they underutilize it or don't use it at all, and they just sort of block that off. And I guess what you have to decide is if you want to be taken, quote unquote, seriously, if you want to start approaching the point where you're making money for your art or your creative outsource, you have to put it out there. You have to let people know that you're doing it.
You do. Here's an interesting thing that I thought about too, because now we're in the age where, not that we weren't in it before, but especially now, where everybody wants to go viral. Everybody wants to be internet famous. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Everybody wants that. Kids want that. They all want that. They're all searching for that. But at the end of the day, you have to be in it for the right reasons.
Correct.
And you have to be but you have to be in love with the process. You have to really fall in love with the process. If your goal is, we all went through this. I mean, I did too. I mean, once I got a little taste of celebrity, where I was hanging out with the celebrities, I was painting their portraits, I was getting to know their stories, they were getting to know mine. Mm-hmm. Of course, that's an ego feed, and you're all of a sudden like, oh wow, I'm on this different level now. People are coming and snapping my photos at events and at these black tie events and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, that's not what my legacy will be known for. Mm-hmm. My legacy will be the great relationships that I forge with my team and championing the great work that they're doing. Mm-hmm. And that's what people remember. People remember how they treat you. People remember stories, the narratives, but they're not going to remember maybe your art per se. Maybe they remember one piece in particular. Like, think about it. Edvard Munch, my favorite painter. Everybody knows him for the Scream. But they don't know many other works by him. So, but there was a guy that painted thousands of paintings. He just kept going because he was in love with the process and allowed the process to keep guiding him. Could you imagine schools where if you walk into them, there's kids doing challenges all day long, like an episode of Chopped, where they're exploding with fun. They're learning, but they're exploding with fun. Where you walk in and it's music classes where kids are actually composing their own music. Yeah. They're creating their own music, putting it into the world, not just let's recite, let's do, you know what I mean? It's all about creating this authentic experience. That's to me what matters the most.
Well, I think
bringing that voice.
Yes, I think it's very important too. I think the key word there is authentic, because as you mentioned earlier, because we have such easy access to creating any type of persona you want online, that in and of itself tends to lend people to create personas that aren't real, that don't exist. There's nothing to back it up, and thus there's a lot of, there's pros and cons to having that ability, and but
and you never really get there. Wherever you think is there, there's the next.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I just try to just keep my head out of any. I'm like, okay, here I am. We're now here. We're on the radio. We're doing TV Delmarva. When I've had my TV shows and that stuff, I just stay very present, moment focused. This is what I'm doing right now, and I don't even bother to think about what's going on outside the realm, because I think you'll get bogged down. A person will get bogged down with that. How many people are watching? Who's doing that? What all that stuff? Let someone else, have a concern about that.
How many are watching? Because if there's a lot, I'll tell the story. If not, then
no
I'm just
idea.
Gonna hold off.
Keep the story. We get a whole nother hour when we go off the air on the radio, which I want to remind people. If you want to continue listening to the conversation, calling in, interacting, we're going to go off the air here in about 2 minutes on 105.9 FM, but we will be on TV Delmarva and Facebook.com/CoastalAE or any of the other places that it's out there. And you can, we're going to hang around for another hour, man, and talk about stuff. And we're free of FCC regulations at that point.
Oh. Welcome to the danger zone.
Right. No, okay. Well, I always have to be a little circumspect, but when we're doing our,
just made Colin nervous over there for a second. He's like, "What is he talking about?
What did he say?
Listen,
he's free of what?
It's not going to happen."
But that's all good. But that's what, so we're gonna stick around for another hour. And did you bring your ukulele? You're gonna strum out a little music number for us?
Yeah, I can carry it too. Sure,
I've never ever heard you. I don't think I've ever heard you sing ever in my life.
Wow.
I don't even know what type of music. You have that jukebox. You have that cool jukebox.
An amazing shower scene.
There's a little soap on the rope action before the night's done. So anyway, we will be sticking around for that too. And of course, people can call with questions or comments if you have any. Very interested in that. Maybe you have had your own little art, awareness experience or some type of a moving situation.
I'd love to hear from some people and love to hear some moving stories or even field some questions. I will say this before we do end the hour. One thing that comes up time and time again, and we talked about this off the air, is resources. A lot of artists out there, they hit this roadblock where they don't feel they have enough resources. That, I'm failing only because I don't have access. I can't do all these big works in Canvas like you do, or I can't do this, or I can't do that. And I'm a firm believer that it's not your resources, it's your resourcefulness.
We're going to talk about that in the second hour in our Facebook live stream. Because we're going off the air right now. Hey, everybody, thank you so much. Have a great, safe, fun Thanksgiving.
Thank you, everybody.
If you're traveling everywhere, my friend Michael Bell, always a treat. We're going to stick around for another hour, folks. You can join us online, tvdelmarva.com. And until then, have a great rest of the week. Do something creative, folks. Don't eat too much turkey. I'll be here next Saturday.
Boom, he's out.
Right on. Ciao, everybody.
This is Sea Talk, ocean news from the University of Delaware. Delaware's low-lying elevation makes the state especially vulnerable to flooding from storms and sea level rise, particularly since no part of the state is more than 8 miles from tidal waters. To address these challenges, Delaware Sea Grant and partners from around the state created the Resilient and Sustainable Communities League, also known as RASCL, a collaborative network that provides technical expertise to Delaware communities in order to increase their ability to adapt, mitigate, and respond to environmental changes, including climate change. The third annual RASCL Summit will be held this month. Learn more at decgrant.org/coastal-hazards. This is Sea Talk, a public service announcement from the University of Delaware, the Delaware Sea Grant College Program, and this station.
Millions of people today have no dental insurance. If you're without insurance, do you have a plan to care for your teeth without spending a fortune? Well, we do. Introducing Dental Plans. Dental Plans offers more than 40 dental savings plans from top healthcare brands. You pay one low annual membership fee and then save money every time you go to the dentist.
Dental Plans pays for itself immediately.
With Dental Plans, you choose your dentist. You can join today and start saving at the dentist tomorrow. There's even a 30-day money-back guarantee.
It was very easy to find a plan that met our budget.
There's no reason to not cut your dental bills in half.
You can get everything done that you need to have done, and it's still affordable.
So, if you don't have dental insurance, you now have a plan. Dental Plans. Join today and you'll save 15% off any plan. We'll even give you 1 month free with this limited time exclusive TV offer. Visit dentalplans.com or call
855-332-3929.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you're testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day, injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 4 more times per day and injecting insulin 3 or more times per day, or using an insulin pump, call now and learn how to receive your new continuous glucose monitor at little or no out-of-pocket cost.
Jim Weller here, and let's talk trailers. Dump trailers, hydraulic dump trailers, big ones, little ones, different color ones. Man, I got them. We take trades, we offer financing. We'd like the opportunity to sell you a dump trailer if you need one. We sell BYs and Brymar, the best trailers in the industry, and we've got the selection right here on Route 13 in Bridgeville. Phone number 337-8228, Wellers.com on the web. Like us on Facebook, ask your friends about us, tell your friends about us, and let's make a deal on a trailer today.
Millions of people today have no dental insurance. If you're without insurance, do you have a plan to care for your teeth without spending a fortune? Well, we do. Introducing Dental Plans. Dental Plans offers more than 40 dental savings plans from top healthcare brands. You pay one low annual membership fee and then save money every time you go to the dentist.
Dental Plans pays for itself immediately.
With Dental Plans, you choose your dentist. You can join today and start saving at the dentist tomorrow. There's even a 30-day money-back guarantee.
It was very easy to find a plan that met our budget.
There's no reason to not cut your dental bills in half.
You can get everything done that you need to have done, and it's still affordable.
So, if you don't have dental insurance, you now have a plan. Dental Plans. Join today and you'll save 15% off any plan. We'll even give you 1 month free with this limited time exclusive TV offer. Visit dentalplans.com or call
855-332-3929.
Funny thing about health insurance, you don't think about how much you need it until you need it. He's not going to be okay. That's why I love Health Markets, your insurance marketplace. They guarantee you won't find a lower price anywhere for the plans they offer. They search thousands of plans from over 200 leading companies, both on the exchange and off, to find the plan that saves you money. You may even qualify for free health insurance with no monthly premiums. One call to Health Markets and they do it all. Evaluate your needs, offer objective solutions, and even handle the enrollment process for you. You can enroll today, but you must act now. Having helped enroll people in millions of policies with an A+ customer satisfaction rating, you can trust Health Markets. They even have new alternative options most don't even know about that can save you thousands.
Health Markets.
Call 844-559-8579. That's 844-559-8579.
We're back on the Facebook Live feed portion of Coastal A&E. Is your mic there?
I think so.
There you are.
Yeah, we're back.
I like that. There's this. Colin picks this little jazzy ditty. That to me sounds like. Do you see my tie?
He knows you like jazz.
Look at this is my martini. This is an actual vintage. I realized when I put this tie on this morning that I bought this like 25 years ago in Georgetown for an art opening.
Well, both of us should have been born in a different era.
Yeah, I think that was yes. If I could just like go back in time for a weekend. Like, wouldn't it be fun? Like 19, I don't know. But first of all, you would have to have a lot of money.
20s.
I don't want to go back in like the Depression and be like on the street begging for an apple. I want to be able to, go to like some fun party with
Hang
jazz
out with Mondrian
and spend some time in Paris, man. That'd be a blast. We should be able to do that. Someday someone's going to... It's fun. We're going way off subject here, but we're going to get back on what we were talking about earlier. Right. But I was reading this article the other day. It was a bit of controversy because I'm not sure how the wherewithal of it's behind it, but there's going to be a film coming out soon with James Dean in one of the roles as an actor. James Dean. So it's CGI. But I remember years ago... I was in a conversation with somebody.
You don't even need to hire anybody anymore.
I know. Well, that's the thing. And I said, one day you're going to be able to say, we want Marilyn Monroe in this role. And they'll be, bleep, bleep, bleep. You push your feet, and voila. It's going to happen, dude.
That's crazy.
Fascinating. So then where does that leave us as artists? I mean, who knows? I don't know how that, the way behind that, but the technology is there to recreate these people so realistically, believably, that this movie starring James Dean. What the
I still love the old school suspension of belief and that sustainability in theater, especially where it's not all the bells and whistles that do it. I saw this play recently at one of the local high schools. This kid Seth McLaughlin, he's one of my arts teens of the week this past week. He's a triple threat. He dances, does theater,
right on,
music. He's in chorus. He's amazing. So this kid, literally, I mean, he held the show. He held this presence. They did this performance of the 12 Angry Jurors, and there was no fancy set, nothing. It was literally just the actors and the dialogue to be able to hold that moment and make us feel like we're in this courtroom scene. And it was powerful.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
I'm a big fan of theater. I spent years working professionally on stage, backstage, all of the above.
Yeah.
Because that is a thrilling thing, being on stage. It's very different than standing in front of your camera. It's a different beast.
It is. I never did theater. I did I did The Amazing Race, as you know, because we were hanging out in D.C. and you drove me down to the tidal basin where I had to film that.
Yeah, so it was pretty crazy.
I did an episode of House of Cards with Kevin Spacey and that genre in the scene with him, and seeing just how the interaction and how it works. And of course I did the Capones and did that, where I did the painting unveiling for Dominic. And so I've been around that world, but theater is a totally different animal. It is.
Than television, where everything is usually
you gotta be
scripted
good.
and you got everything. Well, see, that's the other, I mean, we're just sort of free flowing here, but I'm always dismayed when I see a really bad film with bad performances, because I'm like,
you can do another take.
Exactly. I'm like, is this the best you can get out of take after take after take? I mean, you have to really go, this person really just sucks, because oh my God,
or it's the director,
or whatever. But like, this is the final out of all a film performance is such a there's so many moving parts to what you're seeing in the theater. I mean, on stage, on the movie screen. In the theater, there's a lot of moving parts too, but it's all happening right there in front of you.
Yeah, I love an experience too. I mean, even in the gallery scene, I love going in if it's an installation that isn't the Emperor's New Clothes, if it's actually like a legitimate experience.
But I've been to many of them. Yeah,
right. But if there's a reason for things to exist within the context of the entire experience, and that if it's built on layers, because there's layers of an installation that can really build upon your experiences too. I had that conversation with with a teacher and their student that was working on a project the other day. I said, listen, just don't give us everything right from the outset. Don't show us what you think we should be feeling, because that's an important piece to this. Say you show me 7 photographs, instead of showing me a girl crying, show me 7 images that lead up to that point where that girl's about to burst into tears, and then we, the audience, just might. Then you have something powerful. It's about crafting that narrative.
Yeah, absolutely. Years ago, speaking of the installation works of art, this was many, many years ago. Before I had opened an art gallery. Before, I was maybe 23, 24. I just moved to D.C., and there was a traveling exhibit. I can't remember who put it. This is, again, a long time ago. And I think it was called A Day in the Life of the Homeless.
I remember you telling me about this. It was powerful. It struck
absolutely
you.
Struck me.
You.
Well, my just to get into this, you had to go through your headsets, and you had to go through it by yourself. And it was about 30 minutes. The whole thing going was a maze of different little rooms and vignettes, and you got into this exhibit by literally. This is going to sound really funky to people. You went into what looked like a morgue, and there were people there dressed, like morticians, and they pulled out a slab, and you got on the slab, and they closed you into this. Wow. This is how you went through this thing, and it was all based on your weight. So when the door closed, the bottom was like a slide, and you slide down, and when you hit the bottom, you're in a giant baby's crib. It's crazy, and floating, and you're hearing like little baby, like music that a little baby would listen to. There's a mobile, but the mobile is made of broken booze bottles and hypodermic needles. It was just, and it went on from there. Amazing. I won't go into just some of the experiences, and you're going through this, but the very last scene, the thing that really stuck with me more than anything is you end up in this room, which is relatively a decent-sized room, about the size of this studio. There's a bench, right? There's like an old city park beat-up bench. There's an empty bottle of something, rock gut.
Sure.
And there's a train that's running around the length of the room. That's the only thing. And you hear this little train starts moving, and you just hear this distant train whistle, and then you die. Wow. It was really an intense thing.
It's an intense experience. That's interesting you bring that up. Our son, as you know, is autistic. He has very high-functioning autism, what would be known as Asperger's years ago, and now they've lumped everybody into the autism spectrum. But I would love to be part of an installation exhibit that would almost allow, for instance, teachers, anyone for that matter, but specifically teachers, to experience what life must be like for him every single day, going through school, going for classes where, senses are heightened. You hear every little thing from the tapping of a pencil to this, and how are you supposed to concentrate and get through your day? And really, by the time he comes home, he works really hard, and he's got to decompress because it's a lot more intense than our day is.
Sure.
But could you imagine an installation art exhibit that would take you through the day in the life of
I'm sure it could be. Maybe
autism?
That's something that you could start putting together, man.
It just made me think of that because my son loves trains, number one.
Exactly.
And it also just made me connect to, wow, it would be great to really get a front row seat for everybody. He's a smiling, positive kid, the most likable kid you'd want to meet. But what goes on inside, it would be interesting for everybody to see what other kids have to experience.
I think that would be
work through.
something
it's very
that
difficult.
If anybody could do it would be you, Michael Bell.
Put it on the list.
List of many things.
Many things I want to.
This thing the other thing that I remember about this experience is that at the end they had therapists that were there to help people decompress that had been through this intense experience. One of the little vignettes as well. And I know I've spoken to you about this over the years, but you're in what appears to be a really seedy motel room, and it's a very small space, and there's this mattress behind you, and you're standing there, and again, you're being given directions. They're like lean up against the mat, and all of a sudden what looks like a wall that's in front of you that's maybe 6 inches away from you, you start realizing there's a human form coming through the wall. The wall is made of what appears to be rubber. You don't realize it, and you're basically now you're being raped in a motel. That's what it was. Intense stuff, and this group put it together. So here, 25 years later, I'm still talking about this one experience that I went through. This one. That's how wild and moving some of these art pieces can be.
So Eric Johnson put on this. He works in the EMT field in Queen Anne's County. He just put on this incredible haunted trap house, and they basically took over this Kennard African American Cultural Center, and they transformed it into what addiction looks like. They took like in small groups, they took them through, and they had to go through this roller coaster ride of, if you get caught and you have some drugs on you, and then you go through the experience, you go through court, you go through the system, what happens to you. And I mean, it was
how do they portray that? For
they have actors. They actually got people that work in the court system to come in and actually
to give that sense of realism.
To give it real. Yeah. Wow. So it was really intense, and I think it's great. Just like that challenge day I talked to you about, where it's posing these situations so that you're creating an environment where you could create empathy. I mean, years ago, I created a contest, and it was after Amanda Todd's passing. She was that 16-year-old kid that had committed suicide after years of bullying, and it was very sad, and I became friends with Carol Todd's mother after I had painted a portrait along with many other students one morning in my studio, because somebody reached out, one of Carol's friends reached out to me and said, I know you're involved in a lot of causes. What can you do? I was like, wow, what can I do? Well, the only thing I knew how to do best was to paint her portrait. And then when so many other kids wanted to get involved, I mean, pretty soon you had a whole school lined up to paint their hands purple, which was their favorite color, and paste their handprint in the background as solidarity and all this stuff. But it sparked this empathy contest where students could write out a story where either they experienced something very tragic or they helped somebody through something tragic, and then partnered with my National Art Honor Society students, and they created a picture to go along with the writing. So it was pairing words and visuals, very similar to visual journaling, which is something that I've been doing for so many years.
You have pioneering that.
But that's so important, that connection between visual and verbal language.
I agree. Well, you bring up a good point, and these are my own personal artistic demon. Obviously, I spent many years painting, and this brought you and I together, and all these wonderful experiences we had over the years. But as I mature as a creative professional, as I like to brand myself these days, I realize it seems to me that painting is a very singular process often.
It's a solitary process.
Absolutely.
Often, yes.
Normally, it's the artist painting and working. We're talking about just like in a studio thing. Here I am painting this painting, and this painting has the depth and meaning and all the wonderful elements of what makes a great painting. And you put it out there, and maybe it's in a gallery, maybe it's in a private collection, but it's a one-on-one thing. Right. When you're looking
People
at a painting,
only see the product; they don't see the process.
Yeah. They're creating this singular relationship. What I find interesting about multimedia presentation, which is ultimately what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Incorporating the 21st century stuff.
Exactly. So now we have music. Now we have visuals. Now we have, and it becomes almost cinematographic. And to me, and I don't mean this to sound like a derogatory statement about painting, because it is not, but I love film and theater, as you know. And I've worked with great videographers, and there's brilliant filmmakers just in this area alone, that I've interviewed and I've taught to.
And your painting style tips a cap too.
Absolutely. It's always been based in cinema, because I've seen some great, I've seen famous paintings around the world. Sure. I've been in front, I've been in the Louvre, I've been in, fabulous museums, but I'm still, and I can be very moved by a painting, but not in the same way I'm moved by a brilliant film when I'm in the theater or a stage. It's different. It's not as one-on-one. It's hard to explain. Am I doing a good job of it?
You're doing a good job of it. I mean, I believe that there's a reason why people still go to, they still go to a concert, they still go to a theater, as opposed to just watching everything on TV. It's why they go to a sports arena. It's why they go to boxing matches, because there's an energy. There's an energy in the live experience, and that energy is what you're feeding off of. It's just like being at a tight college basketball game where the momentum's shifting back and forth with the crowd. I mean, that's
a good point.
We're feeding off energy. It really is. That exchange of energy, once a painting is done, it's up to us to make the connection between it. And we might not connect with everybody's subject matter or everybody's work in a certain way. As you know, I mean, my mother saw a painting of yours at our gallery opening at the Ireland show, and she cried when she saw it. It made her touch her emotional chord. So, it does happen for people.
It does. It's happened. It's happened to me. It just we and of course every day. I mean, we're in this multimedia world. It's constantly there. And it's going to change. It's changing our concepts of art, and it's only going to continue to change.
It is. Let me get back to because this is a segue kind of right back into where we were going at the beginning of the hour with resourcefulness. So I'm going to be attending the NAEA convention. I'm going to be presenting at the National Convention this year on Art Scene, which is that show that we created in collaboration with all the art teachers in Queen Anne's County. Wildly successful. Show is going to be going off April 21st, April 23rd this year, popping off both ends of the district at the same week like fireworks. It's going to be incredible. But while I'm going to the National Convention, a friend of mine, Phil Hansen, is actually going to be a keynote, and he created this whole world for himself as an artist around doing with limitations and how your limitation can actually become your inspiration. So he creates countless projects around how he can create something from nothing or create something that actually becomes destroyed, which is really interesting. So, like, for instance, he described to me once, he said, I went to a Starbucks, and interesting thing about Starbucks, I found out, you ask for a cup if you want a cup of water, and they have to give it to you for free. You don't have to pay for it. He said, so I asked for like 20 cups, and they gave it to me. He said, and then I had a pen with me, and I created artwork on those cups and created a mosaic of a portrait that stacked up. And so I created something with nothing. Really with nothing. And myself personally, I mean, I taught a gifted and talented program for many years where we worked, talk about the most incredible works of art with the bare minimum resource-wise, the bare minimum materials-wise. A lot of things you could do with found objects, with found things. So the artists out there, or even teachers out there that say, well, we can't do this because we don't have that. It's not that you don't have it. You can do anything. It's just that you're not being resourceful enough, or you're not as committed to the process as I would be. I would find a way. I would go out on the street, fundraise, do whatever I got to do in order to do these things. But sometimes your limitations can be an inspiration to you also. It's like, I agree. Once you're stripped bare, it's like you want to storm the island, the first thing you should do is burn the boat. Yeah. Burn the boats and figure out how to get there without it. Because if you can figure out how to get there without it, you won't need it.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. Right. Well, there's an odd sound that I'm hearing all of a sudden. The thing.
Time out, everyone.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know what that is. Are we good? Are you hearing it, that too? Or is it, I don't know if that's coming across the... Did I hit something?
Oh, man.
Oh, there it is. It stopped. Whatever it was. It has moved beyond. I was not... I was raised in a family. We didn't have a lot. Did not have a lot, and certainly did not have money for art supplies.
Right,
without a doubt.
How did you make?
I pretty much. I still consider myself to be a self-taught painter because I would go out and I would find whatever I could, wherever I could, and I would create art with it.
Original work happen over the top of some discarded work that.
Oh, yeah. I painted on old things. I would draw on paper, whatever I could find. Right. And I would just keep it all together in like portfolios, whatever. That never stopped me. I'll put it that way. It wasn't about, I can't find the right paint. I can't find the right brushes. I'm like, well, I will use whatever I can to and I did, and a lot of artists I knew did the same thing. A lot of artists still do that.
Well, visual journaling. Here's an example. Well, you get say if you wanted to start a visual journaling movement amongst all your high schools out here in Delaware. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I'll hear is, well, we don't have money to buy sketchbooks. What if the kid doesn't have to buy sketchbooks? Who said anything about a sketchbook? It's a visual journal. Could be anything. It could be an altered book. Yeah. You know, libraries are always weeding books and getting rid of books. Why can't you use an altered book and make that your thing? Then you could even do some blackout poetry in it, where you black out lines in it and create another narrative. I mean, there's so many. You know, you got to be resourceful. You got to be creative. You got to be passionate. Those are the things that are going to make you successful.
True. And frankly, and we both know this, there are businesses, there are people out there, benefactors that proactively are looking for
absolutely
for something to support.
And they are. Rick Strittmater, who he's executive director at the Queen Anne's Arts Council, when he took his first meeting with me, he said, I've been an Arts Council director. He said, since I took the helm, I'd been trying to get to a supervisor at the board. He goes, nobody answers my calls. He said, you take it, and he said, in our first meeting, you give me a PowerPoint and you show me all the cool stuff that you plan on doing and have a vision for this district and how you can take the great work that the teacher's already doing and just raise it and elevate that game and move it into an environment where it's all about, student choice, student voice, students creating just the most amazing things and shining a spotlight on those educators for the first time. He's like, listen, I have grants that are sitting there that nobody applies for. I'm here to help. I want to help. So that's the matter of you got to get out there, like you said, on the street. And start networking, start meeting with people. What else can I do besides ask for, can we have money? Can we have what else can you do first?
Sure.
And sometimes it's the other stuff. Like for me, it was always those moments of fundraising or the time that you're spending with your students, or whether it's with your children or going out and doing stuff with them, making memories that don't cost money. They're the most important ones of all. It's the little moments in life that we always remember. It's not all the big trips that you go on and all those other things. It's the little moments where you're caught in the rain and you have to duck into a restaurant and eat by candlelight with your family. It's those kind of things that people remember in life.
Right on. No, I agree with you. It's never been. I know that resources are important. I mean, I'm not going to pretend that it's not. And there are schools that could definitely have and should have more. I'm all for that.
Absolutely, and it should be equitable everywhere.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I also don't want people. I would be disillusioned to meet an artist like, I'm not doing anything because I just can't find the materials that I want.
Yeah,
or anything
I don't have a studio like you, or I don't have a that's garbage. What? That's garbage. Yeah. It comes down to commitment.
Took me years to get my first studio,
and living
a life. It was a garage. That I was like, this is now a studio.
If you want to live the life you were born to live, it all comes down to the love, the love of what you're doing, and the passion for it, and not stopping. Sometimes it's the rejection and all the other stuff that fuels you and fuels your journey. Yeah, right. You got to find out what it is that starts your motor, fuels you.
Yeah, I do think. Well, not everybody, fortunately, not everybody has an interest or desire or want or need to be, a creative professional, but they will be people that would be happy to support.
And at the end of the day, though, they could happy support, but they could also appreciate what it is, and it's a human piece.
Right on.
And we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect with the world, and it's all about relationships and big ideas.
Yes, it is, my friend. Are we taking a quick little break here because that jazzy tune just started playing? Okay. Did you hear that?
I did.
All right, that's nice. Got my right tie on for that. Hey, folks, we will be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. TV Delmarva.
Hey everybody, Jim Weller here, and I want to talk about chicken coops. This is where your chickens coop, okay? So if you need a place for your chickens to coop, we've got Amish-made chicken coops at Weller's in Bridgeville. We also sell Amish-made sheds. We've got them in different shapes and styles, quick delivery, great prices, quality construction, and they have a rent-to-own program. So check us out at Wellers.com, like us on Facebook if you would, or come see us on Route 13 in Bridgeville, because we'd like to meet you. Weller here talking to you about sheds, Amish-made sheds, many shapes and styles and colors, with vinyl siding, with brick on the front, whatever you may need. We've got a great selection. We've got the best prices around. They include delivery. We also sell chicken coops, dog kennels, gazebos, and Amish-made vinyl swing sets, and all of those include delivery to your property. So check us out on Route 13 in Bridgeville. Like us on Facebook. Look us up at wellers.com. Call me at 337-8228, and let's see what we can do to help.
Our drinking water doesn't come only from rivers, lakes, and streams. Underground aquifers are also critical, providing more than 30% of the world's freshwater supply. Did you know that vast freshwater aquifers also exist under the ocean floor? Some of this water could be used to enhance offshore oil production. In the future, these offshore reserves might also be tapped for agriculture or city supply. At the University of Delaware, researchers using numerical models have shown how exploiting these undersea aquifers could threaten the fresh water available to coastal communities because the resource offshore is connected to the resource onshore. What's more, this groundwater extraction could cause the land to sink, leading to other problems. UD research hopes to inform policy decisions about the use of this unique water resource before adverse impacts occur.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that jazzy groove, man. I guess, you know, I need to start doing some ASMR videos. Did I turn you on to ASMR? I know we talked about it.
Don't do that, please.
Oh, I love it. Love it. You saw the wrong video. You saw the wrong video. I know Lisa, too, was like, what is this? Is crazy now. I like that. The Russian
Colin
lady.
had a
She's great.
book or something I could flip through it.
I love it. I'm telling you, it all started interestingly enough, with Bob Ross, man. Remember Bob Ross?
Yeah.
The guy with the big afro who would paint with the little tree.
Who doesn't know Bob
tree?
Ross?
Yeah,
exactly.
Man, when I was a kid, I loved his show. What I remember I would fall asleep watching his program because it was so
the show
peaceful.
with his wig on. You should.
I'm thinking about. I might just go for the whole perm thing. Just get the perm.
Do it.
That'd be fun.
You could rock that.
Happy little tree.
Sure.
Happy little tree. All the AMSR stuff. Do what? Oh, yes, we have photo. Let's incorporate. Here's some, because I texted these photos to Colin that you were texted me earlier from a long time ago.
Long time ago. Back in the day, that was one of our gallery shows.
Pop those up, one of them, and it'll be up here in a minute. I'm not sure which one's going to pop up. There it is. Look at that.
That was from the Milton Theater Project.
That's right. Was it the Milton Theater Project?
I believe so. We were doing a fundraiser for the Milton Theater.
We're very young and much thinner then.
Well,
I think that was that's a long time ago. So yeah, that was a fun Milton Theater. I was thinking about that thing that we did the other day because no one at the time the Milton Theater has done. You haven't been there in a while, but
no,
you'd be blown away all the great advances that have occurred there.
Does everybody know that we started that train?
I don't think they probably not.
We started a train. Remember, I got several actors to donate things like from Sopranos, some scripts and some autographed photos in addition to the work we were selling, and we helped the Milton Theater out.
We did. It was great. They were blown away.
Going under, and
they were blown away. There wasn't a lot at the time. There wasn't a big structure behind it. It was a whole different thing. It was just sort of, I think, a nonprofit group of performers that were trying to get the doors open.
But this is where it gets back to we started something. We didn't know what it would do. We had no end game in sight. We had no profit that we were getting out of it. I mean, there was nothing we were getting out of it. We even auctioned off a painting.
We did.
That was our first collaboration art painting that we auctioned off. And doing that, who knew it was going to spark and lead to something like that that would lead to the rejuvenation of the theater.
I remember the
two artists taking the reins.
Exactly. I remember the woman in charge at the time. Can't remember her name, which is fine. She's
Karen,
something like that. Yeah, I can't remember her name. She was
Karen Kelly.
Gobsmacked that she had no idea that we were going to do everything that we did.
We're going to do anything. We're going to go big or
we
go
did.
home.
So, but we operate. That was something that also incorporated video. We literally made a video presentation of us getting ready for that show, or you did, I should say, that we were both in it. We did. We donated a painting. Which had a nice value to it. And you were able to give it these other wonderful sort of silent.
Sure.
We had a big exhibit. It was a big success. It was a lot of fun.
Well, and it's all about giving back to, we're putting something into the world so that somebody else can get something out of it. I mean, that's the whole purpose. It's that exchange, it's going back and forth. Oh, you got the painting?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think we got one more photo, but we're going to pop up here from it might be, I just don't know which show.
That is the painting.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
The painting. That's
And that's I forget, She Who Won It. There she is. She won. That was a collaboration piece that we gave away.
That was a collaboration. I think that was the first collaboration piece that we did.
Yeah, as a matter of fact. I wonder if she still has that painting. I hope so.
Well, it's interesting to note in the painting, as you look at it, some people used to ask us, well, which side did you paint, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
But it didn't happen like that. We painted it together, the whole thing complete. And where that led, I mean, ultimately, as we started to paint more and more, I mean, we were in the midst of doing a lot of gallery shows back then. Yeah. And we had some painting clientele from New York that happened to be close friends, and we didn't even know. Like you were doing a painting for one woman that actually was friends with the other one. I'm doing a painting for this other woman who was living in Timonium at the time, and your client happened to be at my client's house, saw my painting up on the wall, and said, "Is that a Michael Sprouse?" And she said, "No, it's Michael Bell. It's Michael Bell." And then, as it turned out, we knew each other because she had relayed the story back to me.
The way that our stories intertwine, or the many, not just one of many, many, many unusual synchronistic things surround art.
But it's also a matter of you need an artistic accomplice in life. You really do.
Oh, there you go.
You really do. I mean, you're my artistic accomplice.
Yeah, right on.
And when I go to the National Art Convention, I always get together with David Modler, Eric Scott, and Sam Peck, who they're in the Journal Fodder Junkies, and they also do visual journaling along with me. And David and Sam have a really cool exhibit up in Minneapolis right now it's all about taking your visual journals and basically exploding all the pages onto the walls and everywhere.
Wow.
And it's such an incredible experience that they create with it, but they're also are artistic accomplices, and they speak of themselves as such. And so it's nice to build a little cohort, and I think that's what you got to do. You got to tap into the people that are just as passionate about the same things as you, so that you can keep pushing yourselves forward. It's like having a workout buddy,
Yeah, I mean? No, I agree. Yeah, it's an excellent thing, but to me, it's also a rare thing. I think that you and I have a very special relationship, but as friends, as visual artists, but I don't know if everybody is lucky enough to have that possibly.
Well, here's why, though. Here's the exact reason why, and this should be for every artist out there. Any experience, I know you will always like this. Anything that came across my desk, I would always go, even if it was, you got to travel to Brooklyn tomorrow to do this thing. Okay, don't know the neighborhood, don't know where I'm really going, but I'll go, because I was always open to the experience of who I might meet along the way, who might be in my next connection, who's going to further my narrative, whose narrative am I going to further. And when I met you in D.C., it was one of those unique experiences that just happened. You had reached out to me, you were looking through a website, that was a story.
It was
you were searching yourself, and
it's crazy.
Was, but I still went. And had I not gone, we never would have met.
Correct.
And imagine all the different stories. It's like It's a Wonderful Life. I was watching that last night. How many lives that you end up affecting that you don't realize if you weren't around, or if you didn't go. If you didn't take that leap of faith and just go, where you're not saying, well, what's in it for me? Well, I got to travel to D.C., that's going to cost me this.
What a pain, and blah, blah, blah.
You got to just go.
Yeah. It's when you're younger, too, is a good time to do it. Not that we're old by any means, but that's a really good time to get out there and just meet. I remember when I was first exploring the confines of the visual art world of Washington, D.C., when I was in my 20s at that time, not knowing anything about it.
But there was a lot of movements going on at that time, too.
I learned a lot very quick. I was in a good place at a good time to do it. And it just sort of synchronistically, who knows? I mean, this opens up to the Pandora's box to predetermined, all those things.
Yeah.
My friend Mandy Stevenson, the fabulous psychic lady that I have here on the show every now and then,
Right.
she has some always interesting things about you and I.
Of course.
But we
Old
sometimes
souls.
you think, were these things meant to happen? Is there such a thing that's meant to happen? I mean, you really have to be willing to go down that rabbit hole. You asked earlier, you were like, well, how did you know? When did you decide that, you were going to move into this realm? But when I was a little kid, man, a little bitty kid, like in second grade, there was that day where now everyone will stand by their desk and tell people what they want to be when they grow up.
Right.
And I wanted to be an artist, man. And I remember very clearly saying that in the entire class. Ah, ha, ha, ha. It was like this terrible moment, for a kid. Because nobody was part of that. And the teacher herself was like, oh, well, you can't be an artist. So I remember her saying that. Because, they don't make any money. You'll never be able to survive. And she's like, you should be a doctor or a fireman or something like that. So I
supposed to be a
changed.
fireman.
I was like, okay, fine, fireman it is, what have you. But I'll never forget that. The kids laughing and like it was a joke. And fortunately, I think we live in a different world now. But, there's still that whole starving artist mentality, which I hate that mentality.
I hate that too.
That's
I don't agree with it.
I don't either. And you and I have been gentlemen that have had quite a lot of success in our careers.
Sure,
without a doubt. But it wasn't it wasn't from sticking to a lesser mindset. It wasn't like starving artist mindset. It was like, I'm going to go out there and make this happen.
Absolutely, being resourceful. And not stopping. I mean, when I was asked last week, Alicia Lee, who's our Maryland State Fine Arts Coordinator, and she's amazing person to work with. She's just a ball of energy, and she's out there shaking things up. And she had just interviewed me as the Arts Leader Spotlight for the month of November for the state.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. I was very humbled by it because there's an amazing cadre of supervisors out there who've been there long before I have, that are doing amazing things. To be recognized for what you do it's a great thing. But I digress. Getting back to the point of the story, she had asked me, in terms of what it is that you do and why it is that you find it important to do what you do. I mean, to me, it all gets back to, like we were talking about, the relationships that we form and the big ideas and how we're connecting, how we're all interconnected as well. I mean, that's trying to reach out and find your way through everything. And not a lot of artists out there know how to do that, Not a lot of artists
I just
are open to that experience.
Recently joined the board of directors for Developing Artists Collaboration, which is a phenomenal nonprofit. Thank you. Very happy about that. And they started out as Dewey Beach Collaborative. They've just evolved and grown. And a lot of the artists are there because they're looking to connect with tools and ways that they just have not previously been able to. And one of the things
you have that skill.
Yeah. So, and everyone that's part of the leadership there has found their way to successfully through careers as arts. Obviously, it's not a cakewalk. There's a lot of work involved in dedication. But one of the goals is to help to teach people that the whole starving artist thing, it doesn't need to be like that. There are ways to you just have to be open and resourceful and creative.
Sure, and it gets back to when Alicia had asked me. She said, "What do you want to do? What's your big vision with the district?" Mm-hmm. Instead of laying out here's my 10-point plan for what, I mean, the answer was actually very simple: inspire belief. Because that's what people need most. They need to believe in themselves, and if they don't have the tools, I've often said it: quality teachers build programs, quality programs, not the other way around. No matter what I can bring to the table, it's not going to do any good if I can't build up the capacity and the people that are actually going to be delivering that. Mm-hmm. So that's where it's got to start and end. It's got to start and end with building that belief in them. A student of mine, Carly Meredith, from quite a few years ago, she gave me what I think is one of the best compliments I've ever been given. She said, you inspired belief in me because you saw something in me before I even saw it. And you believed it in me before I even knew to believe it in myself. Nobody else had believed that in me. And she had wanted to be a photographer. But that's what it's about. I mean, that's when we got our son's first, we got his autism diagnosis. That was one of the first things my wife and I did. We had these letters printed out, said, "I believe in me." We put it over his bedroom, right above his door. So every day he would walk out that door, he would see it, and he would believe in himself.
Right on. Yeah. Well, it's just sometimes doing what, following your passion, wherever that may lead you. I don't want to be, because I saw this funny meme the other day about, someone, if you do professionally what it is you'll love, you'll have this, and this, and someone had scratched it out and wrote, "Oh, well, you'll always be," they made it very cynical, which is funny, but so you have to take that with a grain of salt. But I think, I know that you've had this experience because we've talked about it. You forget what an impact that you can, especially your years as a teacher, that you make on people, or when you give them.
You wonder what legacy you're leaving. Oh, sure.
Well, I mean, I think people sometimes they'll tell you inspired me to do this thing, and I love when I hear that. It's like, oh wow, thank you. I didn't even think about. But I will have people that will say, I was listening to this program or listening to one of your stories about this, and now I've decided to go out and do these things myself, and it was a great decision, and I'm so glad that I took the time to listen to do that. That is a very rewarding thing, and you must get that a lot.
It's taking it, what it is? It's just taking the time to move beyond yourself. This isn't about me anymore, and it's about everybody else. And what can I learn from you? What can I learn from this moment? What can I learn from this experience? That is so important. Me taking on this role as a supervisor, it's a great thing. I mean, I report directly to two people, the deputy superintendent and the superintendent. I mean, I've risen very far in the world in that regard. But I consider myself still a soldier on the street for the teachers, and I want to know what their stories are. I want to know what they're going through on a daily basis and what they need help with, because ultimately they're the ones that need to inspire that belief in those kids. And if I can't inspire belief in them, how are they going to do it for somebody else? I mean, I don't like leaving them alone with it. I think it's important for everybody to inspire, and often you can inspire just by sharing the great work that's going on, videoing it, capturing it, putting it out there, running those ads in the papers and doing all that stuff that takes that extra time to do, but it's the most important thing. It's like passing a stranger on the street, bump into them, drop something, but you take a minute, have an exchange. My wife's always telling me, Alicia's a people person. Yeah. She meets the best friends in the grocery store. You know what I mean? She'll take the time to talk to somebody. And it's not just all about me and tunnel vision and, you know what I mean? You got to be open to an experience wherever it is, wherever it might enter your life or your world, because it may show up and it may inspire you to do something that you may never have thought to do before, if you're open to it.
I agree, and I think as people working in the arts in whatever realm that is, by nature, you're just sort of more connected, more open to that, because you're taking the time to look at things creatively, differently. Right? I mean, it's sort of an inevitability.
Well, it's looking through things through a child's eyes, I almost believe, through the lens of without judgment, completely without judgment. In a world where they're judging everybody and everything, and it's gotten way out of hand, to bring that down, to strip that back down again and say, hey, listen, we're all, we all have something creative in us. I think it's also about finding what people's strengths are too. I think that's a huge piece. Like, I'm a good talent spotter. That's just a gift that I have. I can spot talent. Most of my role, while I do look at data, and we're in this data-driven age where seize the data. I'm still in the mindset of we need to still seize the day. That's the most important.
I like hearing that.
That's the most important thing, and it's all about making those memories, and not only making them, capturing them, putting them out there, and it creates a life of its own then, and then it can extend, and then it can keep going. And that's all about being open to going out there and finding those experiences and finding those stories, creating those narratives. We're so big on narrative. And there's a reason for that. We are our stories. There's a narrative to your life just like there's a narrative to your work. Stick in it long enough, you can probably see some familiar patterns in your own work and how you've evolved as gallery owner, artist, going through all these, television personality, radio personality, where this is evolving to, and in different areas of your life, it often does come full circle. And it keeps going back around and again and again.
I need to. I do need to probably say some more. I'm the type of guy. I know it sounds like I'm always like, oh, here's a story, but I don't like to spend a lot of time in my own past.
Well, I do love when you started really diving into visual journaling also.
Yeah.
I remember that story you shared about the guy that was on the, he owned a little shop.
Yeah, he worked
with
at
the balloons. And it was almost like a graphic novel that you created. It was so cool, but
that's
it was
something
emotionally
I might
intense.
be interested in doing again. I'm thinking about it. It's funny you brought that up. I'm like, if I'm going to do anything through visual art, I'm going to start drawing in my visual
Start
journal.
drawing and writing again because, you won that short story.
I did. I do like to write.
I think you should get back into that too. That's one thing I do enjoy writing. I can craft a good article for those kids in the paper, and I can craft a good article about our teachers and all the great stuff. I love crafting a good story, and you do too.
Oh yeah, no, it's all absolutely everything. Well, I wonder if there. Of course, there are people out there that just have zero creative resource, or they think that they don't, or maybe they're like, "Oh, I can never. That's not for me." How many times I can't draw a stick figure? How many times have you heard that?
Well, but it's finding the strengths. I mean, finding a strength. Like for instance, we're creating a new course at the middle school level. I just got approval to do it. It's called Music and Theater Arts, and there's such an amazing audience there with those kids. They could do so much. And that could capture everybody. You may not get a kid in a chorus class because they don't think they can sing, okay, or band they don't want to play an instrument. But you give them exposure to it in a non-threatening environment where, who knows, maybe they could work in media arts and do the set and create the set. They could find a role. Maybe that's their strength. Maybe lighting or
set design,
soundboard,
stage direction, audio, video. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Costuming, wardrobing.
Costuming. Not everybody has to be the star.
Makeup.
But
there's so many things to do.
Yeah. So that course is going to open the playing field for kids to try many different things. And then we have a feeder path for all the 5 arts disciplines for the first time at the high school level ever. It's so cool.
That's exciting to hear, man.
It's exciting, and we're going to trickle down to elementary school.
I think that's brilliant. I actually 1,000 years ago I taught for a semester at Cape Ellipin High School here. I was with Clear Space Theater. I taught stage direction and set design, and I had a blast.
Yeah,
and a lot of these kids didn't realize that was even an option that was there. Like, oh, well, we're going to theater, and I'm going to be acting on stage. But that's not how it always plays out for a lot of people.
No, but
so you have to sort of stay open to all these different elements. They may find that the joy comes from being behind the curtain rather than on stage.
Absolutely, and it's all about creating that new experience. Of course, it's going to create some angst with some people that are like, well, am I going to have to teach this new course? How's that going to work? That might not be in my wheelhouse. Well, to me, my answer is always going to be, well, we're going to make it your wheelhouse. Yeah. You're gonna dive in. You're going to learn because you're expanding your horizons. You're expanding your scope, and you're raising your abilities. I mean, when I was a second year teacher, my position got cut. We had bad numbers. I had to teach 2 classes of architectural drawing and 2 classes of World Civ. I knew nothing about architecture. And I had levels 1 through 4 all in the same room, and some of the kids knew more than me, and I had to get them help me out, be in charge. Help with this group while I'm doing this. But it goes to some of those kids. Chuck Grower, for example, he's a kid who I still keep in touch with to this day. He's got a family, child, everything now. It's been many, many years, but met him first in that architectural drawing class.
Nice.
But that's the thing. You got to be open to it. You got to be okay with stepping out of your comfort zone and doing whatever it takes in order to keep going. And I know not everybody can do that.
No, well, a lot of people just don't want to do it. Which
or
is
not everybody's used to doing it, or everybody's used to being spoon-fed. Oh, hey, here's your full schedule. Everything's good. But
that just doesn't seem to
don't
me.
Don't fly for me.
No, it doesn't fly for me either.
No.
I'm not that guy. I need more out of. I need some spice, some excitement in life, which is one of the reasons.
Challenges.
Exactly. But all these things these are all found. When someone decides to make a career being, in the creative realm, that's there. That's part of it. Challenges, exciting, meeting new people, working, all these things. It's very different than here I am going to my 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. But a lot of people get stuck in their routine, and the next thing they know, it's there in the final chapters, and they're like, "Oh, what happened? Where did my life go? What happened to this?"
Yeah, and it's all how you embrace an experience. There was a teacher last year; she had just retired, and she had taught elementary school art in Centerville for years. Nancy Adams, she was a great teacher. She was so inspiring, and the year I came in, she said to me, "I wish we had been doing this for years." She goes, if you'd have come along 10 years ago, I'd probably still have enough in my tank to teach for another 20. She goes, because this is what we should be doing. Yeah. And I felt good. It felt validated, but the same token, it's not everybody's bag to want to experience something new during whatever chapter of your life.
Sure.
But for me, it's all about not mandating anything, not throwing anything down, saying this is what everybody needs to do, but saying this is what it could look like if it's truly inspiring. If I walk in and things are just exploding with fun for everybody, this is what it could look like. Yeah. Who wouldn't want that?
Sure.
Who wants the 9 to 5? For me, it was never a 9 to 5. Yeah. I mean, so that's my mindset. As you know, it's for me. I'm a 24/7 guy. So
yeah, me too. I know it's like, but yes,
it's nonstop.
So sometimes you have to put the brakes on and chill for a little bit. But overall, I like that. Let's make this happen. Let's do that. You and I have always had that.
How can we do that?
Yeah. So it's a good thing. I mean, there's people that the whole routine is good for them and it works, and more power to them.
Yeah, but if you find somebody's strength, there's something that everybody's good at, right? There's something that everybody's better at than the next person.
Absolutely.
And I believe it's my job to find out what that strength is, and you're not going to make somebody be great at something that it's just not naturally. Yeah. It's just never going to happen. Like for me, you're a good abstract painter. You really are.
Thank you.
I love your abstract works. For me, I'm a terrible abstract painter. I'm better at realism. I'm better at narrative. For some reason, I just don't feel like I can pull the emotion out of an abstract piece the way that you can. And for me, emotion is very important. Mm-hmm. You know how to do that somehow with what you do. But for me, I need to do it in other ways. And for me, it's more of a connection. It's more of a human connection to my subject matter and the people that are in the work. Or maybe it's the scene that's contributing towards a much larger narrative that leads us on this different journey. But you're able to do that, So for me, I would never all of a sudden say, what?
No, I'm an abstract painter.
All of a sudden, I'm gonna become the best abstract painter out there. That's just not going to happen for me. But I can be the best at this, or I can be the best at visual journaling. That I'm good at. I can be the best.
Incredibly, amazing.
So that's what it's about.
We got like 60 seconds left, man. Is that right, Colin? 60 seconds? The time has flown by, my friend.
Yeah, it's been like 5 hours. It seems like I had a 5 o'clock shadow.
You do, man. You've been here a long time. That's pretty intense. I thank you. I always have such a good time when I pull you on here. Sort of my little co-hosting is what we end up doing. You're a guest, but it's a little more than that.
It's kind of like just two old friends sitting in the art studio together,
boring everybody,
sharing. Right? I sure hope everybody's inspired.
Yes, they should be. Hey, thank you. If you were watching, listening, I had a great time. Thank you, Colin Walls and the crew here at TV Delmarva. You guys are great. And check it out, tvdelmarva.com. You'll be glad you did. I will be back here next week on Coastal A&E, on the radio, and on Facebook. My friend Michael Bell is going to go do his amazing, fabulous stuff. We're going to be around downtown Lewis. Maybe you'll pop in and say hello if you see us out there at the
Michael, bring your Sharpie
happy
marker.
Hour. That's right.
You can sign some autographs.
Sign some stuff.
Sign
a